The next talk today is no, I was going to say, who are you going to vote for? In Canada, there's an election in about this next week. In the United States, there's an election next year. Why don't I want to talk about who to vote for the election? I already did some things where I came to the conclusion none of the candidates are worth voting for, because the leaders are all not very good. Last week, I wrote a letter to a politician who's a head of a government, and I complained about a government service that is abysmal. And then I also wrote on my Facebook page something about this politician, and I wasn't very friendly about it. The response I got from the politician's office was, we received your comment and we passed it on to another member of the political team who specializes in this area. I haven't received an email from the next politician that it was handed off to. So how long am I going to expect them to respond? Well, this politician responded pretty quick. Within the matter of, say, 3 days, I got 2 emails. So I would say that's a very good response, because I emailed the previous person who was the head of government, and they didn't respond at all. So this is an improvement. At least they acknowledge that they got my information. But it was handed off, and so far I haven't heard from this new one. So it's a wait and see. Now, where are we going? So what did I want to talk about? Well, I didn't want to talk about voting for who you're going to choose to vote for in this election. Now, the other thing that people always do is that I know there's lousy choices. Lousy choices, because none of them shine. So usually what happens is, well, the person who's the incumbent, the one that's in there now, do you hate them so much that you just want to get rid of them? It doesn't matter, as long as we change and get rid of them, that's better than nothing. Could be. Or do you say, I don't care whether he stays in or goes, they're all crappy. So we're trying to whittle it down. Is it worth my time voting for any of them, or it doesn't matter? Is there somebody that I really don't want to get in? If that's the case, then you should vote. Vote for somebody who's most likely to get in, who's not the one you hate. That's logical, rather than picking some fringe candidate who has no chance, because then it's more likely that your vote doesn't count. So in other words, you want your vote to count. So what people rely upon are the news polls. And then the next question is, are they accurate? Because if the news people are trying to give you wrong information because they really want, only one or two candidates to be in the election, and they're telling all the other ones to buzz off, well, they do that. But they are the news. And all the other human beings are getting their information from these news polls. Based upon history. I mean, if we were in some advanced society, we could all connect by telepathy, and we could have a telepathic conversation and decide, despite what the news says, we're all going to vote for this French candidate. Wouldn't that be something if that actually could occur? But the chances of that occurring are pretty slim, because it's never happened before. But there was an example in the United States where the press was so sure one of the candidates was going to be elected they published his name. Dewey wins presidency. It might have been in the 1950s. Dewey wins. And they printed all the newspapers. Lo and behold, I don't know who it was. Maybe, I don't know who was against. Maybe it was Eisenhower. Not sure. But Dewey didn't win. But they were convinced he was going to win. So, you know, I don't know what they did with all those newspapers. Had to go and do a reprint. But anyway, it must be quite a collector's item. But, so some people say, well, I mean, I'm the person that says it doesn't matter who your local candidate is. It's the leader of the party who's going to be running the show, calling the shots, who's most important to me. Some people might say, well, the local candidate is someone who should be responsible for local issues so that whether they're part of the government or not, if you write to them, they're at least going to pester the government. That's true. How do you know who's going to be a good pesterer and who's not? I don't think you know. Well, are they a smart person or a rather stupid person? That's a good question. If you elect a stupid person, are they going to get attention, or are they not even going to know how to talk? Well, and quite often what happens is, you know, I'm walking down the street and I'm seeing election signs. I don't know anything about these people. Well, there's 3 major parties, and this one I'm looking at, I don't know the first thing about them. Zero about them. But the leader of their party is probably the best of all the choices. The smartest person by far, according to book learning and, well, experience, is running for the party that I don't want to vote for because I don't like the leader. But this leader does have a significant chance of winning the whole election. So it's a conundrum because it's definitely a great local person, but the national, there are worse candidates. Oh my God, it's so complicated. How do I do it? Well, in the old days, what I would do is I would muscle test. So I would say, for the highest and best good of all concerned, who should I vote for? And I would muscle test, and I would get my answer. And one time I did this, and I got all fringe candidates. In other words, basically my interpretation is, it doesn't matter who you vote for, because with your one vote, you're not going to make a difference. So you might as well, it wasn't even might as well, they just said vote for these fringe candidates. Maybe it was to give them some encouragement or a thanks for coming out. At least some people voted for you rather than nobody. But that's what happened with my muscle test. I voted for fringe and none of them got in. But, you know, it wasn't like there was a 3-vote difference between the winner, the eventual winner, and the second place person. It was, you know, thousands of votes. So my vote didn't matter. And apparently the universe preferred me to vote for somebody who didn't win, just to show them that, you know, the universe loves them or something. Anyway, that's how I do it. And whether I vote or not in this election, I don't know. The day of the election, I suppose, it might come to my mind it's time to vote, and then I'll say, feet, move your feet, and see if my feet, I might remind it 2 or 3 times, feet, it's election day, are you going to the election place? And keep moving, feet move, are we going there? And we might ask a few times, and then we might come to the conclusion that the universe doesn't want me to vote, or my feet might start walking to the election booth, and I get there, and I'm going to look And I'm going to pick up my pencil and I'm going to say, for the highest and best, which one am I going to vote for? And then I'm going to go and move my pencil down towards the vote, unless it's an electronic gizmo. But, let's say I'm going to vote in a paper vote. I don't know what it's going to be. And see what it lands on. And if it feels good, I'll probably go with it. But if somehow I go, like my face goes, really? Then I might say, no, we don't want this one, try again. And that's how I'm going to vote. Or I might stop and say, what's the rationale for this? And I might not get an answer, and I might just stomp my feet and walk out of there without voting. But I'm not really... I'm not going to vote for someone that I really detest. No. So if I keep getting that, I'm going to force my hand not to do that. You're not voting for a certain person who I don't want at any cost. I hope you enjoyed my talk. What does it mean? It means, I don't know. I don't know what it means. Voting is very hard when you've got multiple parties, and the voting system is primitive. It's poor. It's a very poor system. Some people want to change the first past the post system. First past the post means whoever gets the most votes after all the votes counted wins. People look at that and say, this is a very primitive system. It's poor because sometimes someone wins with 42% of all the votes